The Middle Ages were a time of shadows and secrets, where history blurs into legend and the line between fact and folklore fades away. Picture this: crumbling castles holding whispers of unsolved crimes, ancient manuscripts filled with codes no one can crack, and villages haunted by disappearances that defy all logic. For centuries, these mysteries have taunted historians, archaeologists, and treasure hunters alike, puzzles so perplexing that even modern science struggles to explain them. Today, we're peeling back the veil on 25 of the most chilling enigmas from the medieval world. From ghostly armies rising on forgotten battlefields to cursed artifacts that bring doom to anyone who touches them, these aren't just stories, they're real historical riddles that remain unsolved. So dim the lights, let the eerie music swell, and prepare to journey into the past where truth is stranger than any fiction. Because by the end of this video, you'll question everything you thought you knew about the so-called Dark Ages. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most baffling artifacts ever discovered, the Voynich Manuscript. Imagine stumbling upon a book filled with strange symbols, unknown plants, and illustrations of women bathing in what looks like green liquid. That's exactly what happened in 1912 when a Polish book dealer named Wilfred Voynich uncovered this enigmatic text in an Italian monastery. What makes the Voynich manuscript so unsettling is that no one, not linguists, cryptographers, or even artificial intelligence, has been able to decipher its language. Carbon dating places its creation somewhere between 1404 and 1438, but its author and purpose remain a complete mystery. The text is written in an alphabet that doesn't match any known language, and the bizarre drawings range from celestial charts to unidentifiable botanical specimens. Over the centuries, countless experts have tried and failed to crack its code. Some believe it's an elaborate hoax, while others think it holds lost alchemical knowledge or even extraterrestrial secrets. The most frustrating part, every theory collapses under scrutiny. Even World War II codebreakers who cracked Nazi ciphers couldn't make sense of it. So why does this book refuse to give up its secrets? Is it an encrypted scientific treatise, a medieval prank, or something far stranger? Whatever the truth, the Voynich manuscript remains a tantalizing puzzle, one that continues to defy explanation. Moving from cryptic manuscripts to royal intrigue, our next mystery takes us to the shadowy corridors of the Tower of London. In the summer of 1483, two young princes vanished without a trace: Edward V, the 12-year-old King of England, and his 9-year-old brother, Richard. Their disappearance remains one of history's most chilling unsolved crimes, a puzzle wrapped in power, betrayal, and whispers of murder. The boys were last seen playing in the tower's garden under the protection of their uncle, Richard III. But within weeks, rumors spread that they'd been smothered in their sleep, their bodies hidden where no one would ever find them. The timing was suspicious. Richard had just declared the princes illegitimate, seizing the crown for himself. Was this the act of a ruthless usurper, or were darker forces at work? Centuries later, the mystery still divides historians. Some point to Richard's ambition, while others blame Henry VII, who defeated Richard in battle and had motive to tarnish his rival's name. Even forensic science hasn't settled the debate. Two small skeletons found in the tower in 1674 might be the princes, but DNA testing has never confirmed it. Shakespeare immortalized the tale in Richard III, painting the king as a hunchbacked villain who stops at nothing for power. But was the playwright's version fact or propaganda? The truth may lie buried beneath the tower's stones, waiting for someone to uncover it. One thing's certain: the prince's fate is a haunting reminder of how easily history can be rewritten by the victors. Now, shifting from royal conspiracies to a tale that seems plucked straight from folklore, we arrive at the bizarre story of the Green Children of Woolpit. In the 12th century, villagers in the English county of Suffolk stumbled upon two children near a wolf pit, hence the name Woolpit, with skin tinged an eerie shade of green. Their clothing was strange, their speech incomprehensible, and their origins utterly unknown. At first, the children refused to eat anything offered to them until someone brought raw beans, the only food they seemed to recognize. Over time, their green hue faded as they adapted to a normal diet, and eventually they learned enough English to share a fragment of their story. They claimed to come from a place called St. Martin's Land, where the sun never rose and everything was bathed in a perpetual twilight. Theories about their origins range from the fantastical to the painfully mundane. Some suggest they were extraterrestrial beings accidentally stranded in our world, an early medieval encounter with visitors from another realm. Others propose they were Flemish orphans displaced by conflict, their green tint the result of malnutrition or poisoning from arsenic in their food. Then there's the more grounded explanation that they were lost children from a nearby underground mine or forest, their green skin caused by a diet heavy in unripe vegetables. But why the strange language, why the claim of a sunless homeland? The mystery lingers, a curious blend of myth, misunderstanding, and perhaps a kernel of truth lost to time. Unlike the princes in the tower, this tale feels more like a fairy tale than a crime, yet it remains just as unresolved. Were the Green Children evidence of something beyond medieval understanding, or simply a case of historical confusion? The answer, much like their homeland, may forever remain shrouded in twilight. Now, from the eerie Green Children of Woolpit, we turn to a phenomenon so strange it seems almost impossible: the dancing plague of 1518. Picture this: in the streets of Strasbourg, a woman suddenly begins to dance. Not for joy, not for celebration, but uncontrollably, as if her body has been taken over by some unseen force. Within days, hundreds join her, twirling and leaping until their feet bleed, some collapsing from exhaustion or even dying. This wasn't a festival or a mass celebration. It was a terrifying mystery that gripped the city for weeks. What could drive people to dance themselves to death? Medical experts suggest it might have been ergot poisoning, a fungus that grows on damp rye and can cause hallucinations and convulsions similar to the symptoms of those afflicted. Others point to mass psychogenic illness, a kind of collective hysteria where stress and fear spread like a contagion, turning anxiety into physical movement. Then there are the supernatural theories. Some at the time believed the dancers were cursed, possessed by spirits, or even under the spell of Saint Vitus, a saint associated with dance. Could it have been a desperate plea for divine intervention during a time of famine and disease? Or was it something darker, a force beyond human understanding? Unlike the Green Children, whose story feels like a lost fairy tale, the dancing plague is documented in chilling detail: names, dates, even the desperate measures taken to stop it, like building stages and hiring musicians in a futile attempt to dance it out of the afflicted. Yet, like so many medieval mysteries, the truth remains just out of reach. Was it biology, psychology, or something beyond explanation? The dancers of Strasbourg took that secret to their graves. And with that, we move from a plague of movement to a treasure lost beneath the earth. The fabled library of Ivan the Terrible, a hoard of ancient knowledge said to be hidden somewhere beneath Moscow. But that's a mystery for another moment. Now, let's step into the shadows of Moscow's underground, where whispers of a lost treasure have tantalized historians and treasure hunters for centuries: the fabled library of Ivan the Terrible. Imagine a trove of ancient manuscripts, some dating back to Byzantium, filled with forgotten knowledge, religious texts, and possibly even secrets that could rewrite history. This legendary collection, said to have been amassed by Ivan's grandfather, Ivan III, and expanded by Ivan the Terrible himself, vanished without a trace. But where did it go? The most persistent theory claims the library was hidden beneath the Kremlin or the labyrinthine tunnels of Moscow, sealed away to protect its priceless contents. Some say Ivan, known for his paranoia, ordered it buried to keep it from falling into enemy hands. Others believe it was lost during the chaos of his reign or the time of troubles that followed. Over the years, countless searches have been launched from amateur diggers to Soviet-era expeditions, but not a single parchment has been found. What makes this mystery even more intriguing is its connection to another legendary disappearance, the Amber Room. Just as the library vanished, so did this famed chamber, looted by the Nazis during World War II. Some speculate the two treasures share a similar fate, hidden or destroyed, leaving only rumors in their wake. Could the library still lie beneath Moscow, waiting to be discovered? Or was it dismantled, its texts scattered or burned long ago? Modern technology, from ground-penetrating radar to satellite imaging, has renewed hope for uncovering the truth. Yet, despite the tools at our disposal, the library remains as elusive as ever. Whether it's a historical reality or a tantalizing myth, the lost library of Ivan the Terrible continues to captivate, a ghost of knowledge just beyond our grasp. And with that, we leave the secrets buried beneath Moscow and turn to another enigma, one that has lured treasure hunters to a small island for hundreds of years. The Oak Island money pit, with its booby traps and whispers of Templar gold, awaits, but that's a story for next time. Now, let's journey across the Atlantic to a small, unassuming island off the coast of Nova Scotia, where a mystery has gripped treasure hunters for over 200 years, the Oak Island money pit. Picture this: in 1795, a young man named Daniel Maginnis stumbled upon a peculiar depression in the ground, surrounded by old oak trees with strange markings. Beneath the soil, he found layers of logs, coconut fibers, and even a stone inscribed with cryptic symbols. From that moment, the legend of the money pit was born, and the hunt for its hidden riches began. What makes this pit so fascinating are the layers of danger and intrigue woven into its story. Early excavators hit a platform every 10 feet, each one seemingly designed to protect whatever lay below. Then came the traps, flood tunnels that filled the shaft with seawater whenever diggers got too close. Some say these were engineered by pirates to guard their loot, while others believe the design points to something far more ancient. Could this be the work of the Knights Templar, hiding treasures they smuggled out of Europe? Theories range from lost manuscripts to the Holy Grail itself, but no one has ever reached the bottom to find out. The curse of Oak Island only deepens the mystery. Over the centuries, at least 6 people have died in pursuit of the pit's secrets, and countless fortunes have been spent trying to unlock them. Modern expeditions armed with sonar and drilling technology have uncovered tantalizing clues: a Spanish coin, a scrap of parchment, even traces of gold, but the pit refuses to give up its prize. Is it all an elaborate hoax, or is there truly something extraordinary buried beneath those layers of mud and myth? As we pull back from the shores of Oak Island, our next stop takes us into the heart of medieval Europe, where an enormous book, written in a single night, or so the legend claims, holds its own dark secrets. The Devil's Bible, with its chilling full-page portrait of Satan, awaits, but that's a tale for another moment. Now, let's step into the shadowy corridors of a Bohemian monastery, where one of the most unsettling books ever created waits to tell its story. The Codex Gigas, better known as the Devil's Bible, isn't just a manuscript, it's a colossal mystery bound in leather and legend. Weighing as much as a small child and standing nearly 3 feet tall, this massive tome was crafted in the early 13th century, and its origins are as chilling as its contents. According to the tale, a disgraced monk made a desperate pact with the devil to write the entire book in a single night. The result, a sprawling work that includes the complete Latin Bible, historical texts, medical formulas, and even exorcism rites, all penned in meticulous script. But the most infamous feature is the full-page, haunting illustration of the devil himself, glaring out from the parchment with eerie, unblinking eyes. This image alone has fueled centuries of speculation. Was it a warning, a confession, or something far darker? beyond the legend, the Codex Gigas raises baffling questions. How could one person, even with supernatural aid, produce such a vast and detailed work so quickly? Scholars estimate it would have taken decades of labor under normal circumstances. The book's sheer size and the uniformity of its handwriting only deepen the enigma. Some suggest it was a collaborative effort, while others point to the monk's alleged isolation as proof of something more sinister. The Devil's Bible has survived wars, fires, and thefts, yet its most unsettling quality might be the aura of unease it still carries. Visitors to the National Library of Sweden, where it's now housed, often report feeling an inexplicable dread when standing near it. Whether you believe in curses or not, the Codex Gigas remains a testament to the enduring power of medieval mystery and the human fascination with the line between devotion and darkness. As we close this chapter, our journey through the unexplained takes us next to a mystery that bridges the medieval and the modern, the strange case of a man who arrived from a country that never existed. The enigma of Tord beckons, but that's a story for another moment. Shifting our gaze from ancient manuscripts to a modern mystery with medieval echoes, we arrive at the baffling case of the man from Tord. In the summer of 1954, Tokyo International Airport became the stage for one of history's most perplexing disappearances. A well-dressed businessman arrived with a passport stamped from a country called Tord, a nation that, according to all maps and records, simply didn't exist. Officials were stunned. His passport appeared genuine, issued by a government that had no diplomatic ties to any known country. He carried currency from Tord, spoke multiple languages fluently, and claimed his company had done business in Europe for years. When pressed to point out Tord on a map, he indicated the location of Andorra, insisting his homeland had stood there for 1,000 years. The mystery deepened when hotel staff, after detaining him overnight for questioning, found his room empty the next morning, locked from the inside with no signs of escape. The man had vanished without a trace, leaving behind his luggage and documents. Was this a case of mistaken identity, an elaborate hoax, or something far stranger? Theorists have proposed everything from time slips to parallel universes, suggesting the man might have accidentally crossed from a reality where Tord was real. Others point to medieval legends of travelers from unknown lands, drawing eerie parallels to this modern enigma. Whatever the truth, the Tord mystery lingers as a tantalizing puzzle, one that blurs the lines between history, geography, and the unexplained. And as we ponder this vanishing act, our next stop takes us even further into the realm of the uncanny, where ghost ships and cursed crews await. Now, let's set sail into another eerie maritime mystery, one that predates the infamous Mary Celeste by centuries. In the 1400s, a chilling tale emerged from the waters of the Malay archipelago, involving a Dutch merchant vessel known as the SS Orang Medan. This ship's fate was so horrifying that it's often called the medieval counterpart to the Mary Celeste, but with a far more sinister twist. According to accounts from other sailors, the Orang Medan was spotted adrift, its sails intact but eerily still. When rescuers boarded, they found the entire crew dead, not just deceased, but frozen in grotesque poses, their faces contorted in sheer terror, eyes wide open as if they'd witnessed something unimaginable. Even the ship's dog lay lifeless, its teeth bared in a permanent snarl. Strangest of all, no visible wounds or signs of struggle, just silence and the creeping dread of the unknown. Some theories suggest poisonous gases from the ship's cargo could have suffocated the crew. Others point to supernatural forces, citing legends of cursed waters where vengeful spirits claim those who trespass. But the most unsettling detail, moments after the rescuers fled, the ship reportedly burst into flames and sank, taking all evidence and any hope of answers with it. Was this a tragic accident, a cover-up, or something far older and darker lurking in the depths? The Orang Medan story remains one of history's most haunting maritime puzzles. And as we leave this ghost ship behind, prepare to step into the shadow of an immortal wanderer, one whose curse spans centuries. From ghost ships to an eternal wanderer, our next mystery takes us into the realm of curses that defy time itself. The legend of the Wandering Jew tells of a man doomed to walk the earth until the end of days, a punishment for an ancient sin. This chilling tale first surfaced in medieval Europe, with roots stretching back to biblical times. According to the most widespread version, the Wandering Jew was a shoemaker in Jerusalem who taunted Jesus as he carried the cross to Calvary. For this act of cruelty, he was cursed with immortality, forced to roam the world without rest until Christ's return. Sightings of this mysterious figure began cropping up across medieval Europe, with witnesses describing a ragged, weary man who would appear in towns, share cryptic warnings, and then vanish without a trace. One of the earliest recorded accounts comes from 13th century England, where a monk claimed to have met the wanderer in a monastery. The man allegedly recounted his endless journey, speaking of empires risen and fallen, wars waged and lost, all witnessed firsthand over centuries. Similar stories emerged in France, Germany, and Italy, each adding eerie details. Some said he carried a staff that never wore down, others claimed he could speak every language fluently, and a few even whispered he bore the mark of Cain. Was this figure a real person, a cautionary myth, or something more supernatural? Scholars debate whether the legend was inspired by actual encounters or served as a moral lesson about repentance. Some link it to older pagan myths of eternal outcasts, while others see parallels in folklore like the Flying Dutchman. Whatever the truth, the Wandering Jew remains one of the Middle Ages' most haunting enigmas, a reminder that some curses and some mysteries are truly timeless. And as we leave this ageless wanderer behind, our next stop takes us to a vanished colony where an entire settlement disappeared without a trace. Turning from timeless curses to vanished communities, we arrive at one of history's most puzzling disappearances, the lost colony of Roanoke. While this mystery unfolded in the 16th century, its eerie echoes stretch back to medieval vanishings like the abandoned Norse settlements of Greenland, proving that entire communities slipping into thin air isn't just a modern fear, it's a phenomenon as old as time itself. In 1587, over 100 English settlers landed on Roanoke Island, led by John White. When White returned from a supply trip to England 3 years later, he found the colony deserted. The only clue, the word Croatoan carved into a post and crow etched into a tree. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just empty homes and a single cryptic message. Theories range from integration with local tribes to violent clashes or even supernatural intervention, but no evidence has ever settled the debate. What makes Roanoke even eerier is its medieval precursor, the Norse colonies of Greenland. Established in the 10th century, these settlements thrived for hundreds of years before vanishing by the 15th century. Excavations reveal abandoned farms with tools still in place, as if people simply walked away mid-task. Climate change, conflicts with the Inuit, or even migration back to Europe have been proposed, but like Roanoke, the truth remains buried. Both cases share haunting similarities: vanished populations, enigmatic clues, and a lack of conclusive evidence. Were these communities victims of environmental shifts, hidden conflicts, or something more inexplicable? The parallels force us to wonder, is there a darker pattern to these disappearances, one that transcends centuries? As we ponder these ghostly echoes of the past, our next mystery plunges us into the shadowy world of heretics and hidden gold. Shifting from vanished colonies to hidden fortunes, we now delve into the legend of the Cathar treasure, a mystery steeped in heresy, war, and whispers of unimaginable wealth. In the early 13th century, the Cathars, a Christian sect branded as heretics by the Church, faced annihilation during the brutal Albigensian Crusade. But as their strongholds fell, rumors spread that they'd hidden a vast treasure: gold, sacred texts, even the Holy Grail itself somewhere in the rugged Pyrenees Mountains. The Cathars, known for their austere beliefs and rejection of church authority, were hunted to near extinction. Yet, before their final fortress at Montségur was besieged in 1244, 4 men allegedly slipped away under cover of night carrying the sect's most precious relics. Some say they buried their hoard in the labyrinthine caves of the Pyrenees, while others claim it was smuggled to distant lands. The only certainty, no trace of it has ever been confirmed. Modern treasure hunters and archaeologists haven't given up. Expeditions in the Pyrenees have uncovered medieval tunnels and cryptic carvings, fueling speculation. In the 1960s, a local farmer claimed to find gold coins near Montségur, though experts dismissed them as unrelated. More recently, ground-penetrating radar has revealed hidden chambers beneath the mountain, but whether they hold treasure or merely more questions remains unknown. What makes this mystery endure isn't just the allure of gold. It's the tantalizing idea that the Cathars' legacy, their defiance, their secrets, might still lie waiting in the shadows. Was their treasure real or a myth spun to torment their persecutors? And if it's out there, could it rewrite history? As we leave the Pyrenees behind, our next mystery takes us from hidden gold to a feast that turned into a massacre. One so infamous it inspired one of television's most shocking moments. Now, let's step into a hall where celebration turned to carnage. A night so treacherous it would echo through history and fiction alike. In the year 1440, Scotland's noble Douglas family sat down for what they believed was a peaceful feast, hosted by their rival, the Earl of Douglas. The young Earl of Douglas and his brother were guests of honor, welcomed with all the pageantry of medieval hospitality. But as the meal reached its climax, the mood shattered. A black bull's head, a symbol of death, was placed before them. In an instant, armed guards seized the Douglas brothers, dragged them outside, and executed them on the spot. This became known as the Black Dinner, a brutal act of political betrayal that would inspire one of the most infamous scenes in modern storytelling. The parallels to Game of Thrones' Red Wedding are unmistakable. George R.R. Martin himself has cited the Black Dinner as a key inspiration for the shocking massacre at the Twins. Both events hinge on the violation of guest right, a sacred medieval custom that guaranteed safety to those under a host's roof. But while the Red Wedding was fiction, the Black Dinner was all too real. The question that lingers is who truly orchestrated it. King James II of Scotland, just a child at the time, was the nominal ruler, but power lay in the hands of his regents, particularly Sir William Crichton. Some historians argue Crichton ordered the killings to crush the rising influence of the Douglas clan. Others suggest the king's own family, the Stuarts, saw the Douglases as a threat to their authority. What's chilling is how calculated it all was: the feast, the false camaraderie, the deliberate use of symbolism to terrify, yet mysteries remain. Were the Douglases truly plotting against the crown, or were they victims of paranoia? Why were the brothers lured so easily into the trap, and what became of the servants and allies who witnessed the betrayal? The Black Dinner didn't just end 2 lives. It ignited a feud that would destabilize Scotland for decades. As we move from this dark chapter, our next mystery takes us from political treachery to something even more unsettling: a pair of cursed stone heads tied to medieval legends of shape-shifting horrors. But now, let's turn our attention from political betrayal to something far stranger: a pair of small stone heads that seem to carry a curse from the medieval past. In 1972, 2 young boys digging in their garden in Hexham, England, unearthed what appeared to be simple carved stone heads. At first glance, they looked like crude artifacts, perhaps remnants of a forgotten time. But what followed was anything but ordinary. Almost immediately, the family reported eerie occurrences. Objects moved on their own, shadowy figures lurked in the halls. One witness even claimed to see a half-wolf, half-man creature prowling the house at night. The heads were passed from owner to owner, each reporting similar disturbances, nightmares, unexplained noises, even physical scratches appearing out of nowhere. Researchers soon discovered these weren't just random carvings. They bore a chilling resemblance to medieval legends of shape-shifting entities, creatures said to morph between human and animal forms. Some theories suggest the heads were ritual objects, possibly tied to ancient Celtic or Norse beliefs in protective or vengeful spirits. Others argue they might have been part of a ward against supernatural forces gone horribly wrong. The most unsettling detail: similar heads have been found across Britain, often linked to local tales of cursed objects or haunted land. What makes the Hexam heads so compelling is how they bridge the gap between medieval folklore and modern paranormal encounters. Were they genuinely imbued with some long-forgotten magic, or did they simply awaken a deep-seated fear of the unknown? After decades of speculation, the heads themselves vanished, leaving behind only whispers and unanswered questions. And as we step away from these enigmatic artifacts, our next mystery plunges us into the glittering and deadly world of medieval royalty, where a single necklace became a symbol of doom. But now, let's shift from eerie artifacts to a tale of dazzling beauty with a dark reputation: the infamous Anjou's cursed necklace. This exquisite jeweled piece, crafted in the 14th century, was said to carry a malevolent force that brought misery to anyone who possessed it. Its story weaves through centuries of tragedy, from royal courts to revolution, leaving a trail of death and misfortune in its wake. The necklace first gained notoriety when it was gifted to a noblewoman of the House of Anjou. Within months, she succumbed to a sudden illness, sparking whispers of a curse. Over the years, it passed through numerous hands: kings, queens, wealthy merchants, each owner meeting an untimely end. Some died of plague, others in violent uprisings, and a few under mysterious circumstances that defied explanation. The necklace's reputation grew so fearsome that even those who didn't believe in curses hesitated to wear it. Historians remain divided on whether the necklace was truly cursed or simply a victim of coincidence. Skeptics point to the turbulent nature of medieval Europe, where disease and political unrest were common. But believers argue that the sheer number of deaths linked to the piece spanning generations goes beyond mere chance. Some even claim the jewels were stolen from a sacred tomb, invoking an ancient wrath. The necklace's final chapter came during the French Revolution, when it vanished amid the chaos. Some say it was destroyed, while others insist it still exists, waiting to bring ruin to its next owner. Whether cursed or merely unlucky, the Anjou necklace stands as a chilling reminder of how beauty and tragedy can intertwine. And as we leave this glittering enigma behind, our next mystery takes us into the shadowy forests of France, where a monstrous creature terrorized the countryside. Now let's journey into the mist-shrouded forests of 18th century France, where fear took the form of a nightmarish predator, the Beast of Gévaudan. This monstrous creature, described as wolf-like but far larger and more cunning, terrorized the rural region of Gévaudan for 3 brutal years, leaving behind a trail of bloodshed and unanswered questions. Between 1764 and 1767, the beast claimed the lives of over 100 people, mostly women and children. Witnesses described it as a hulking, reddish-furred animal with unnaturally long fangs and an almost human-like intelligence. It didn't just hunt. It seemed to taunt its victims, evading traps and even ignoring livestock to target humans. The attacks grew so frequent that King Louis XV dispatched royal huntsmen and soldiers to kill the beast, but it always slipped away, vanishing into the wilderness like a phantom. What makes this mystery even stranger is its connection to older medieval legends. Long before the Beast of Gévaudan, tales of supernatural predators haunted Europe. From the werewolves of Germanic folklore to the shape-shifting loup-garou of French tradition, people had long feared creatures that blurred the line between man and beast. Some historians believe the Beast of Gévaudan was simply an unusually large wolf or even a hybrid species, while others speculate it might have been a trained attack animal used by a sadistic master. Then there are those who point to darker theories. Was it a cursed being, a relic of medieval superstitions made flesh. The beast's reign of terror finally ended when a local hunter, Jean Chastel, shot it with a silver bullet, a detail straight out of folklore. Yet even in death, the creature refused to give up its secrets. Its body was paraded before the king, but no official records confirm its true nature, and some claim the real beast was never caught at all. As we step away from this chilling legend, our next mystery plunges us into the world of sacred relics and Arthurian myth, the elusive Holy Grail. Shifting our gaze from the shadowy forests of France, we now turn to one of the most enduring quests in history, the search for the Holy Grail. This sacred relic, said to be the cup used by Christ at the Last Supper, has captivated imaginations for centuries, weaving together myth, faith, and treasure hunting in a tapestry as intricate as the legends themselves. The Grail's story is deeply rooted in Arthurian lore, where knights like Percival and Galahad embarked on perilous journeys to find it. Medieval romances painted it as a vessel of divine power, capable of granting eternal life or healing the land. But here's where the mystery deepens. No single version of the Grail exists. Some texts describe it as a chalice, others as a stone or even a dish. This ambiguity has fueled countless theories about its true nature and whereabouts. Beyond legend, several real-world artifacts have claimed the title of the Holy Grail. Take the Cup of Valencia in Spain, a finely crafted agate goblet revered since the Middle Ages. Scholars debate its origins, with some tracing it back to early Christian communities in Jerusalem. Then there's the Nantios Cup in Wales, a wooden vessel said to have been brought by Joseph of Arimathea to Glastonbury. Though carbon dating places it much later than Christ's era, its association with healing miracles keeps the legend alive. What's fascinating is how these objects reflect the Grail's evolving symbolism. For some, it's a literal relic; for others, a metaphor for spiritual enlightenment. Even the Knights Templar were accused of hiding it, adding another layer to the mystery. Whether the Grail is a physical treasure or an eternal ideal, its allure remains undimmed. As we leave the realm of sacred cups and questing knights, our next mystery takes us to the frozen expanses of the Arctic, where an entire Inuit village vanished without a trace. Leaving behind the sacred quests of the Grail, we journey now to a chilling mystery that bridges the modern and medieval worlds: the vanishing village of Angakuni. In the 1930s, an entire Inuit settlement in Canada's Arctic was found deserted, with food still cooking over fires and personal belongings left untouched. But what makes this eerie event even more intriguing is how it echoes older vanishings from the Middle Ages, like the abandoned Norse settlements of Greenland. Centuries before Angakuni, Norse colonists thrived in Greenland, building farms and churches under harsh conditions. Yet by the 15th century, these settlements were empty, with no clear explanation. Were they driven out by climate change, conflict, or something more mysterious? The parallels are striking. Just like Angakuni, the Norse left behind tools, livestock, and even graves, as if they vanished mid-task. Some theories suggest both disappearances could stem from extreme weather or dwindling resources, but folklore adds darker twists. Inuit legends speak of the Tariaksak, shadowy beings who lure people into the wilderness, while Norse sagas mention encounters with unseen forces. Could these tales hint at a shared, supernatural thread? Whether through natural disaster or something more enigmatic, these vanishings remind us how easily entire communities can slip from history's grasp. And as we turn from the Arctic's silence, our next mystery plunges us into the haunted halls of England's most infamous ghost story. Shifting from the frozen mysteries of vanished villages, we step into the shadowy corridors of England's most notorious haunted house, Borley Rectory. Dubbed the most haunted house in England in the 20th century, its walls echoed with phantom footsteps, ghostly apparitions, and even messages scrawled on mirrors. But long before Borley's fame, medieval Europe had its own share of spectral real estate, and none more intriguing than Glamis Castle's secret room. Glommer's castle in Scotland, steeped in centuries of history, hides a chamber sealed off from the world. Legend claims it's the resting place of a monstrous secret, a deformed nobleman locked away whose restless spirit still paces the room. Visitors report cold drafts, muffled cries, and the eerie sense of being watched. Like Borley, Glommer's became a magnet for ghost hunters, but its roots stretch back to the Middle Ages when such tales were woven into the fabric of daily life. What connects these sites across time? Both Borley and Glommer's thrive on unanswered questions. At Borley, skeptics blamed creaking floors or drafts for the hauntings, while believers pointed to tragic histories like a murdered nun said to wander the grounds. Glommer's, too, balances fact and folklore. Was the secret room really a prison or just a forgotten storage space? Medieval records are silent, leaving room for speculation. Yet the deeper link lies in how these stories endure. Whether in a Victorian rectory or a medieval castle, people have always sought to explain the unexplainable with ghosts. It's a timeless impulse to fill the gaps in history with whispers from the other side. And as we leave these haunted halls behind, our next mystery takes us from spectral whispers to a battlefield where the dead were said to rise once more. But before the dead could rise on the battlefield, let's rewind to an even older terror, one that arrived with the crash of waves and the glint of axes. The year was 793, and the peaceful monks of Lindisfarne had no idea their island monastery was about to become the first target of Viking fury in England. Yet the attack didn't come without warning. Strange signs began appearing weeks before the raid, as if the universe itself was sounding an alarm. Fishermen reported phantom longships gliding across the water, their sails billowing with no wind, only to vanish into the mist. Even more chilling was the discovery of a local priest with the letter D mysteriously carved into his chest, a mark some believe stood for doom in the cryptic language of omens. What makes these premonitions so unsettling is how they blur the line between legend and historical record. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, one of our earliest sources, mentions the raid in stark detail: monks slaughtered, treasures plundered, altars defiled, but says nothing of the warnings. Yet medieval scribes often wove supernatural signs into their accounts, believing disasters were preceded by divine or demonic signals. Could the phantom ships have been a misinterpreted natural phenomenon like a mirage? Or was the carved D a later addition, a storyteller's flourish to make the tale more haunting? The Lindisfarne raid wasn't just a violent event, it was a cultural earthquake. For the monks, it marked the end of an era of relative safety, a rude awakening to the Viking Age's brutality. For us, it's a puzzle wrapped in layers of myth and memory. Why would attackers leave such eerie breadcrumbs if they left them at all? Perhaps the truth lies in the medieval mind's knack for finding patterns in chaos, turning random horrors into stories with meaning. And as the echoes of Lindisfarne's bells faded, another dark artifact was waiting to take center stage, one that required no ghosts or omens to terrify, because its power was all too human. Now, shifting from omens to objects of terror, let's uncover one of the most macabre relics of medieval superstition, the Hand of Glory. This grotesque artifact was no ordinary candle. Crafted from the severed hand of an executed criminal, often a hanged man, it was believed to hold supernatural powers that could freeze victims in place, leaving them helpless as thieves ransacked their homes. The process of creating a Hand of Glory was as chilling as its purpose. The hand would be dried, sometimes pickled, then fitted with wicks made from the dead man's hair or fat. When lit, legend claimed its flame would cast an eerie glow that rendered anyone who saw it motionless, as if under a dark spell. What makes this grisly talisman even more unsettling is that it wasn't just folklore. Actual specimens survive in museums today, like the one displayed at the Whitby Museum in England. These preserved hands, often missing fingers or blackened with age, offer tangible proof of how deeply people once believed in their power. Medieval criminals weren't just stealing, they were wielding what they thought was literal dark magic. But why would anyone put faith in such a horrifying object? The answer lies in the medieval world's blend of desperation and belief. In an era without modern law enforcement, thieves relied on superstition to tip the scales in their favor. The hand of glory tapped into fears of the dead and the unknown, a time when the line between medicine, magic, and malice was dangerously thin. Some even claimed the candle would only burn if made from a murderer's hand, adding a layer of grim selectivity to its creation. Yet for all its terror, the hand of glory had a fatal flaw: countermeasures. Folklore advised homeowners to ward off its power by washing their doorsteps with a mix of milk and water, or by keeping their own charms nearby. It's a stark reminder that for every dark artifact there was often a whispered defense, a way to fight back against the shadows. And as we leave this relic of theft and terror behind, another enigma awaits, one tied not to criminals but to curses whispered in the halls of power. From dark superstitions to whispered curses, we now turn to one of history's most infamous last words, the dying oath of Jacques de Molay, the final Grand Master of the Knights Templar. As flames consumed him in 1314, de Molay allegedly cursed King Philip IV of France and Pope Clement V, vowing they would meet him before God within a year. Eerily, both men died within months, sparking rumors of a supernatural reckoning. But the legend didn't end there. Centuries later, as the French Revolution erupted in 1789, some claimed the chaos was the delayed fury of de Molay's curse finally coming due. Was this more than coincidence? The Templars' downfall was undeniably brutal. Once Europe's most powerful order, they were dismantled by Philip IV, who coveted their wealth. Their torture and execution left a stain on history, one that seemed to resurface when revolutionaries stormed the Bastille, a site tied to the Templars' imprisonment. Even Louis XVI's execution echoed de Molay's fate, fueling theories of a curse spanning generations. Yet historians remain divided. Some argue the revolution's roots lay in economic strife, not medieval vengeance. Others note the symbolic power of curses in shaping collective memory, a way to make sense of tragedy. Whether supernatural or symbolic, the Templars' curse endures as a haunting reminder of how history blurs the line between justice and myth. And as we untangle this web of fate and fury, another medieval mystery beckons, one where faith and scandal collide in the shadows of a convent. Now, let's step into the cloistered halls of medieval England, where faith and scandal intertwine in one of the most unsettling mysteries of the 12th century, the baffling case of the nun of Wotton. This tale begins in a Yorkshire convent where a young nun was discovered pregnant, a sin punishable by severe penance or worse. But what happened next defies all logic. According to chroniclers, after her pregnancy was revealed, the unborn child mysteriously vanished without explanation. Some claimed it was a divine miracle, a sign of God's mercy. Others whispered of darker forces at work, suggesting secret rituals or even foul play. The story, recorded by the historian Aelred of Revolx, reads like a medieval thriller. The nun, whose name was never revealed, was said to have been seduced by a monk from a nearby monastery. When her condition became undeniable, the convent sisters subjected her to brutal punishment, locking her in chains. Then the unthinkable happened. Overnight, her pregnancy seemingly disappeared. Aelred described it as a miracle, attributing the event to divine intervention. But skeptics then and now question whether the account was a cover-up, a way to shield the convent from disgrace. Could the child have been secretly taken, or worse? What makes this mystery endure isn't just the eerie disappearance, but what it reveals about medieval attitudes toward sin, shame, and the supernatural. In an era where the line between divine wonders and hidden crimes was razor-thin, stories like this one served as cautionary tales. Was the nun of Wotton truly touched by grace, or was her story a carefully crafted legend to hide a darker truth? As we peel back the layers of this centuries-old enigma, another medieval puzzle awaits, one where the boundaries between myth and history blur even further. Now, let's journey to the blood-soaked fields of Towton in the year 1461, where history and legend collide in one of medieval England's most haunting wartime mysteries, the Ghost Army of Towton. This brutal clash, part of the Wars of the Roses, was already one of the deadliest battles ever fought on English soil. But what makes it truly unforgettable are the eerie accounts of phantom soldiers joining the fray. Eyewitnesses reported seeing spectral figures clad in tattered armor emerging from the mist, their faces gaunt and their weapons gleaming as if from another time. These ghostly warriors were said to fight alongside the living, turning the tide of battle at critical moments. Some claimed they were the restless spirits of soldiers slain in earlier conflicts, drawn back to the battlefield by the echoes of war. Others believed they were divine intervention, a sign of favor for one side over the other. Historians have long debated these accounts. Was it mass hysteria fueled by exhaustion and fear? A trick of the light in the chaotic fog of war, or something far more inexplicable? The Battle of Towton itself was a slaughter, with chronicles describing the rivers running red with blood. In such a charged atmosphere, the line between reality and superstition blurred. Even today, locals speak of strange apparitions near the battlefield, as if the land itself remembers the horror. What lingers about this mystery isn't just the ghost stories, but what they reveal about how medieval people processed trauma and death. In an age where the supernatural was woven into daily life, sightings like these offered both comfort and dread, a reminder that the past never truly stays buried. As we leave the haunted fields of Towton behind, one final medieval enigma awaits, one that ties the mysteries of the Middle Ages to a much more modern legend. Now, let's bridge the gap between medieval mysteries and a more modern enigma, one that echoes the same sense of endless wonder and unanswered questions. Though the Winchester Mystery House was built in the Victorian era, its bizarre, never-ending construction mirrors a peculiar trend seen in medieval architecture, the so-called unfinishable buildings. Take Cologne Cathedral, for example. This towering Gothic masterpiece took over 600 years to complete, with construction starting in 1248 and finally wrapping up in 1880. Generations came and went, yet the cathedral remained incomplete, its soaring spires a distant dream for centuries. Some blamed financial shortages, others pointed to shifting political priorities, but a few whispered of darker forces, curses, or divine intervention delaying its completion. The Winchester Mystery House shares this eerie legacy. Built by Sarah Winchester, heiress to the rifle fortune, the mansion sprawls with staircases leading nowhere, doors opening into walls and corridors twisting endlessly. Legend claims Sarah believed she was haunted by the spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles, and that continuous construction would appease them. Much like medieval builders who left cathedrals unfinished, Sarah's obsession created a labyrinth frozen in time. What connects these stories across centuries? Perhaps it's humanity's fascination with the unfinished, the idea that some projects defy mortal limits, whether by accident, ambition, or something more supernatural. From Cologne's delayed spires to Sarah's ever-growing mansion, these structures remind us that not all mysteries are meant to be solved. And with that, we've reached the end of our journey through 25 of history's most baffling medieval enigmas, but the past always keeps a few secrets hidden. What's your favorite mystery? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the unexplained. From ghostly armies to cursed manuscripts, we've traveled through centuries of unsolved riddles that still haunt our imagination. The Middle Ages were a perfect storm for mystery, where limited records, superstition, and the unknown collided, leaving behind puzzles that defy even modern explanations. Whether it's the vanished princes in the tower or the eerie Devil's Bible, these stories grip us because they challenge what we think we know about history. So why do these medieval enigmas endure? Perhaps it's the thrill of the unsolved, the tantalizing gap between fact and legend. Or maybe it's the way they remind us that the past isn't always neatly wrapped up. Sometimes it's a labyrinth with no exit. Now it's your turn. Which mystery left you the most unsettled? Drop your theories in the comments below. And if you loved this deep dive into the unexplained, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more journeys into history's darkest corners. Until next time, keep questioning, because the past always has another secret to reveal.